Good morning and welcome back to another conversation coming out of the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 6. You're looking at me and you're saying, Donnie, didn't we cover that chapter and verse last week? Yes, we did. we read through it. I really focused on the word transition last week. It was more of a topical conversation. I wanted to share with you how it's important to embrace transition because in order to get through the conditions in life that this life will place on you, you need to understand how to transition to get to your position, your purpose in life. I was sharing with you how impatient we have become, how impatient we are. And most of us have ADHD or some form of it to where we're just anxious all the time. We just busy bodies. And by being a busybody, you're like those kids on Instagram who they call them pandemic babies, those toddlers who are crawling up on top of the refrigerator to get their snacks because they are too impatient to wait for someone to come get them for them. That's you and I. We have become so impatient. And let me tell you what impatient does. It runs you into a lot of schemes, if you will, a lot of scammers. I mean, you're talking about being conned by anybody and everybody because you don't have any foundation where you can just simply be stable and sound. Well, the Lord is telling us today that He changeth not. And I've got a question for you. If God is the creator of all things, of you and I, then why aren't we imitating Him? If He's created us in His image and His likeness, this is my question for you. Why aren't we walking within that vein? Why aren't we walking within that likeness and within that image? If He changes not, why are you not changing like the wind? I mean, we just move. We let things move us. And we talk about the culture, and the culture can move in some bad places, and you're moving with the culture. Why aren't you moving with God? What's wrong with moving with your Creator? What's happened to us? If God changes not, why are you and I changing like the weather? Why don't we live within the fullness of God, taking on His image, walking in His likeness, having His characteristics, having His attributes, if you will, and having His Spirit, a change not spirit? Do you know how much stuff we would avoid? I mean, if we were walking in that image, all of us, and you say, well, Donnie, it's going to take some experience for that. We've got to evolve into that. I get it. I get it. Wait a minute. Hold on. I hear you. But if you were trying, if you were really truly striving to walk in that image, walk in that likeness every day, and then your children would see you. Wow, what an example. You do realize that when your children see you, they see God. That's what they see at first. When you talk about God, they see you as their Godhead in their family. That's what they see. They see you and your wife. They see you two as being the image and the likeness of God. And so they want to follow your pattern. Are you letting them down? Are you walking so close to God that if He sneezes, you can give Him a handkerchief? Is that you? No, I'm quite sure it's not. You're not walking that close, are you? Why not? Ask yourself the question, why not? What is it that wants you walking close to God? Because you know He's omnipresent, so He's everywhere at the same time. So He's with you. Why aren't you with Him? Hmm. I'll be honest with you. I don't know anyone. I do mean anyone who's working that hard to walk that close with God. Now, I mean, we put some time in, don't get me wrong. Look at what you allow to come into your eye gate, to your ear gate, into your spirit. Look at all the stuff you're watching, all the stuff you're reading, all the stuff that's watching you and reading you. So in order for you to be close to God, you got to go and get close to God. And see, some of that stuff will burn off for you. Some of that stuff will leave you alone. But you like that stuff. Oh, that stuff intrigues you. You wake up every morning turning on your social media. You want some of that stuff. That stuff fills a void inside of you. Well, that's not a godly void. You do realize that, right? That's not a godly void. God's not itching to watch social media and see all these women with no clothes on, or to see all these men projecting themselves as being God themselves. I mean, that's not Him. He's not in that lane. That's just you. Satan knows what you're watching. And so he gives you more of it each and every day. And he keeps feeding that appetite. He keeps feeding it, and he keeps feeding it. He keeps feeding it. And I'm saying, well, God, hold up. I want to be like you. I want to be close to you. But what is this that's holding me back from you? I mean, what is it that I'm doing that's just stopping me from having this relationship with you? And then we go to the book of Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah, chapter 55, verse 8 through 9. The prophet tells us that he says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than yours, and my thoughts than your thoughts. So now I'm really torn up. I'm really complex now. I'm really messed up. I'm distraught right now. Because if my thoughts are not like God thoughts, and my ways are not like God ways, I mean, come on. I mean, what am I doing wrong? But then I got to thinking about my thoughts. I'm serious about my stinking thinking. And I'm saying, well, hold up. I'm glad I do serve a God who don't have my thoughts. Oh my gosh, your thoughts? Oh no, I don't want to serve a God that has your thoughts. Those things inside of your head. Come on. You can be praying and you get this crazy thought. You don't want a God like that. And so I get it. God says, my thoughts, Donnie, phew, they're so far away from you, like heaven is to earth. That's how far my thoughts are, and my ways are from your ways. And I'm saying, well, thank you, Jesus, because I want to serve a God who don't have my thoughts, not my thoughts. Mm-mm. No excuses required, just not my thoughts and not your thoughts. There's a gulf. There's a gulf between your thinking, your stinking thinking, and God's. There's a gulf between your ways, your character, and God's. And that's a distance that we need to bring together. How do we get that to come closer? Wow. That's a lot of turning the plate over and not eating, fasting and praying and worship. That's a whole lot of turning the TV off, social media off. That's a whole lot of spending time with God, yes, and prayer and fasting. That's a whole lot of time of turning your back on always thinking about sex and all that other crazy stuff you get yourself into. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take you turning you off for a season. Yes, it will. It's going to take you and I realizing there's something greater than ourselves because we think we all that in a bag of chips. That's what we think. It's going to take you becoming uncomfortable to be comfortable with God and knowing that if you're going to walk in his path, in his lane, to be close to him, you've got to sacrifice you. Now, it's worth it because your children are watching you. They need to understand what's different about us believers. Donnie, what is it that makes us different, that makes us special? And right now they see you listen to the same music that the world listens to. They see you watching the same movies that the world watches. They see you going to the same events that the world go to. Everything that you're showing them is that you can have it both ways. You can serve God and the devil. That's what you're showing. I know you don't want me to say that, but I'm just serious. You're telling them, hey, ain't nothing wrong with a little God and a little Satan. That's what you're saying. You're not saying it, but that's what you're doing. That's how their minds perceive it. Well, it's okay. Talk to your daughters. Talk to your granddaughters. Talk to your sons. Just talk to them, and you're going to see how they think. So watch this. I'm thinking that I don't want God to have my thoughts because my thoughts are messed up. And then I got to thinking, just a little bit deeper. I got to thinking, well, hold up. I know how my thoughts are, but what is my wife thinking about? What are her thoughts? Oh my, ooh. I'm saying, whoa. I mean, I know my thoughts, and they're not like God's thoughts. His ways not like my ways. What's my wife ways? That stuff that she told me about. And then I went a little deeper. I got to thinking, well, what is my son's thoughts? What about my daughters? What are their thoughts? My little innocent daughters. And I'm thinking, whoa, innocent? Maybe not, huh? All right. We're all individuals. That's what I'm trying to get to. And we're all complex. And God is saying, your thoughts and your ways are not like mine. They're far removed from me. And by being that removed from me, there's this big gulf. There's this big gap. There's this big divide. I'm saying, how do we get that to be closer? What can I do? What's my part? We're told in Genesis to take a wife and to marry her and to and to leave our families and to cleave to her and to become one. So I'm thinking, since me and my wife are one, we got on the same thought pattern. We got the same kind of vision. We're thinking the same kind of way. Well, that's not true. That's not true. She's still an individual. I'm still an individual. And I have my own thoughts and she has her own thoughts. And so in some sense, we're probably divided in our thoughts and our thinking. And that's why we fight each other. Yeah. That's why there's a gender clash right now. That's why there's a war going on right now. Because Satan he's tapped into how to really deal with your thoughts and your ways. And no matter what your husband is doing and what he's saying, you're gravitating toward your sisterhood. That's what you're doing. I'm gravitating toward my brotherhood. And so here we come with these hoods. Yeah. Instead of it being a fellowship between two, a cleaving between the two of us. No. Internally, we're thinking on behalf of the sister nation. We're thinking behalf on the brother nation. And no one's thinking behalf on God's nation. See, we're divided within. That's how Satan conquers. He comes in and he destroys from the inside out. And we're letting it happen on our watch. We're serving and we're worshiping celebrities at an all-time high. Athletes, you name it, politicians. I don't care what anyone says. They're not God. They change every moment. They're divorcing like there's no tomorrow. And now it's all into the church. The church is divorcing more than the world. And if you didn't change, then guess what? Then you'd remained. Yeah, you wouldn't be abandoning your kids. If you didn't change, if you changed not, if you were walking in the image of God, you'd be still home with your children. You'd still be in the house with your children. But because we move like the weather, tossed to and fro, here we are moving, shifting, trying to find something better. What you going to find better than God? Nothing. But we feel like there's something better out there. I'm going to find my own way. Well, there's only one way. And if you don't come this way through his son, Jesus Christ, you ain't coming. You won't be allowed to get in. I don't care what this world is selling you, this pipe dream. There's something better. There's a pie in the sky. No. There's a God sitting on his throne. And as soon as you acknowledge him, your life will be a whole lot better. We're chasing all this stuff. And we claim it's on behalf of the kingdom. But it's really not. It's on behalf of our ego and our pride. I used to make the statement, I could change within 30 seconds. You tell me something and I'm doing something wrong, I can change in 30 seconds. I used to kind of boast about that. And then I realized, why am I boasting about that? Why was I messing up in the beginning? Because see, I wasn't practicing, I changed not. I was allowing myself to be changed. And so there I'm bragging about, oh, I can change in 30 seconds. Well, you should, because you're wrong. It's not right what you're doing. How many layers are you going to put between you and God? How many layers? I mean, I told you that God already showed you my thoughts, my ways are greater as far as the heaven is from the earth. That's how far he said those thoughts and ways are. So what else are you putting in between that? What else are you wedging in between that? What else are you laying between that? Pornography? Whoa, man. Whoa. I mean, you're laying that in between this gap, this gulf that we have. I mean, you're laying that in between you and your wife. I told you, her thoughts ain't like your thoughts. And then you go put pornography on top of this. And so you're layering it now. What are you doing, absentee fathers? You put a layer between you and your wife and between you and your children. You're supposed to be representing Christ. How are you being absent representing Christ? You're representing the enemy. He brings about divorce. You see, he was dethroned. He was kicked out of heaven. He was divorced is what is happening there. And you're following him, not your creator. My goal, I pray it's yours as well, is to imitate the Father. To pray that he blesses me to imitate him, to be like him. I want my mother imitating him. I want my father imitating him. I want everything that's in my structure imitating him. Walking in his image and his likeness. Everything around me. So that I can keep myself, I can keep myself structured in. I'm boxed in on every side, Because right now, I don't want to get out of this box. Because outside of this box, outside the will of God, outside living like God, it's nothing but hell out there. It's nothing but the enemy out there. And he wants you to live outside this box. Or he wants you to break out. He wants you to get out. I don't want to be outside this hedge like Job. I want to be inside of his head, righteous and upright. I want to witness to everyone in this world about how good Jesus is. But I want to move within my box, within my hedge. That's what I'm telling you. I pray you want this hedge around you. As we talk about layers between man and God, as we talk about this gulf, this big gap, this distance between man and God, you just have to be honest with yourself. How close do you really want to be to God? I mean, we talk a good game. I mean, you really do. But God has given us so much word. He tells us that we are the head and not the tail. That's powerful. He's saying, Donnie, you're in charge. You're the boss. And when you look at our children, they are some of the most intelligent people that's ever been born. They are innovators, entrepreneurs. I mean, they're the boss. They're in control. And they don't even really know it. But they're so gifted. But Satan has heard also that they are the head and not the tail. And so what he's done to try to distract them, if you will, to deflect them from their promise, from their blessings, he's made it clear, I'm going to marry them to the culture. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the culture look cool. Yes, and instead of them being the head and not the tail, I'm going to have them to think it's cool to wear their pants below their butts, below their tail. So if I can keep them, degrading themselves, they won't see themselves as the head. They'll always see themselves as the tail. You see how he uses this against us? He's indoctrinated the culture, to have us sagging and bagging and really missing our blessing. And so we have a whole generation that followed the Pied Piper. And we're waking up now, and we see our young men all over the place, drifting, because they don't see themselves at the head. They see themselves as a tail. What a sad statement. I told you, how close do you really want to get to God? He tells all of us to be the lender and not the borrower. And go talk to Bank of America. Go talk to Chase. Go talk to Wells Fargo. Go talk to Visa, Discovery Card. Go talk to MasterCard, American Express. And they'll tell you, we're into debt higher than we've ever been. Interest rates are at an all-time high, average-wise. Everybody has got so much on these credit cards. I mean, we have just completely flipped the script. Satan is so clever. I told you he's so clever. He says, I got to keep y'all indebted, because I'm going to keep y'all indebted. Y'all won't see the blessing of being the lender. You'll always be the borrower, always begging for crumbs. Because whenever you ask for a loan, you never get what you want. They just give you enough to keep you in debt and keep you indebted to them. And that's where we find ourselves, practicing the same old thing. Yeah, we preach a good game, but we can't follow what we preach. We should be debt-free to where the banks are coming to us, begging us to invest in their products, not us begging them to get a mortgage. And then they give us this high interest rate, and we jump all on it because no one's ever given us anything. No. You see, there's a way you make them bend their knees, and that's when you become the lender. That's when you have so much money in their banks that you own the bank. But they're coming to you, they're calling you boss. They're calling you yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. That's where we should be. See, that's being close to God, because you're trusting his word. You're the head, not the tail. You're the lender and you're not the borrower. That's when you get close. That's when you get near to him. I told you, as far as the heaven is from the earth, don't you want to be on that moon? And to be closer on the stars, riding on the galaxy? I mean, who wants to be that far distance from their creator? No one does. But that's where we're finding ourselves. That's where our children are finding themselves. In John 3:16, the Lord told us, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. God made a way out of no way for you and I. God says, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to bridge the gap between heaven and earth. I'm going to send my only begotten Son. Begotten? My only? I'm sending the best of me to you so that I can get closer to you and you can get closer to me. I want some of that, Lord. I almost started crying. I'm serious. That touched my heart. That God loved me so much that he stepped outside of himself. He stepped inside of a virgin woman. God stepped on earth just for you and I. He devised a plan to bring me closer to him. Wow, that's who I'm serving. Yes, all this other stuff, I ain't got time for it. No. I want to make sure that the God who's made it very clear that he's merciful, that he's graceful, I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that kingdom. And you can too. Let this be the last day that you can't say that you change if not. Yeah. I want you to stop shifting. Stop being shifty. Stop scheming and scamming. This is the day that you become more like Christ and less like yourself. It's a matter of the heart. It's a matter of your belief system. That you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And then you too shall be saved. I pray this day that you change if not as well. You be blessed and have a great week.